Darren Thurman Smith, the eldest child of Alan and Marina Smith. I make a big deal about coming from Okotoks because I really don't like Calgary. It's quite a city. Okotoks is about 15 minutes south of Calgary, and very much a community town. We're about 15,000 people. I attend a very small congregation, 40, 50 people. We call ourselves the Sheep. It's actually the Sheep River Fellowship. It's a river that runs through, but we shortened it to the Sheep because we figure we're all too dumb. Sheep kind of works for us. And so many of you probably heard some of the stuff that's gone on in Calgary in the past as far as it's the city of access, or excess. Many people, like they saw their homes go from 180,000 to 400,000 in a year. So people took this money, they've gone out, they bought boats, the fifth wheels. I'm sure on Friday there was a stream of vehicles leaving out every which way from Calgary, and they're all fifth wheels. Everybody has quads. It's a city of excess. Everybody has all these toys, and it's hard not to get caught up in that. You know, like I have to admit, I got caught up into it a little bit, and my wife had some plastic surgery. I don't know if I told you that yet. Yeah, we had the credit cards removed. It's pretty bad when your MasterCard number and what you owe on it's the same thing, right? So, last week, as Dad said, I was speaking at the Sheep, and they had asked me quite large time period beforehand to speak. So I started preparing my message. I was pretty, I had the message down, talk about changing it. This is exactly what happened to me. Tuesday night, I'm putting the final touches on this, and I'm like, this is going to make them laugh, it's going to make them cry, they're going to think, this is great. And God said to me, so Darren, what are you speaking on? Suddenly, I'm put in my tracks. This is on a Tuesday night. Now, to put this in perspective, we had a race that weekend at the racetrack. So what that means is on a Friday, I normally start at 8 in the morning, work till anywhere between midnight and 2 to prepare for the following day. And on Saturday, I'll work anywhere from 8 till maybe 3:30. So, and Thursdays are usually about 10 hours, so I've got very limited time to put this message together. I'm like, great. Now I'm not supposed to speak on what I was going to speak on. God, what do you want me to speak on? And it hit me. Well, you know what? It's okay, because God won't give us any more than we can handle, right? So I thought, well, let's look up that scripture, because if I've learned anything from my father, let's go to scripture. So I went to 1 Corinthians 10:13. And this really upset me. Because for years I have been quoting, God won't give us more than we can handle. So we're going to 1 Corinthians 10:13. It says, no temptation has seized you except what is common to man. And God is faithful. He will not let you be tempted beyond what you can bear. But when you are tempted, He will also provide a way out so that you can stand up under it. It doesn't say God won't give me more than I can handle. It says when I'm tempted, He'll provide a way out. I got very discouraged at this because, like I say, this is a scripture I held on to, that when things got busy, God's not going to give me more than I can handle. And so one thing you'll learn today is I am not my father. I might go on tangents a lot like him. I might tell some stories like him. But I learned early on in preaching that the first time I spoke, I tried to emulate him. I tried to be just like my dad. I tried to present it the way he would, and this is how Dad would do it. And it was horrible. I don't know what I was talking about. Everybody just kind of sat there looking at me thinking, what's he talking about? I finished, and my wife politely said, it was good, And she says, what was with all the scripture? Well, that's what Dad does. She says, but it didn't really have anything to do with it. So here I was up there. I had this list of scripture. I'm reading off scripture thinking this is great, and this is going to excite everybody, and it all had nothing to do with what I was talking about. All these people left scratching their heads. So I've learned a lesson. I'm not my father. I won't try to be him. Although I have learned that Scripture is the best way to stay. So, if this is the case, that God, as I thought, God won't give me more than I can handle, where is God in everything? Where is God in this situation that as I'm preparing for this message, I don't have the time for this? I honestly don't have the time. I'm thinking it's bad enough that I don't see my kids for about 3 or 4 days. I don't see my family. They know that this is the time that I'm going to be working. After it's done, I'm going to spend time with you guys. I should tell you a little bit about my kids. I have 2 wonderful kids, Scott and Ethan. Scott is 8 and Ethan is 6. And tell you, they love to wrestle. Everybody's been asking me what these bruises are from. This is from wrestling with my boys. We play around on the trampoline, and my youngest one, Ethan, has figured out how to do a flying drop kick. So he'll bounce and jump up and kick me. And I always play the bad guy when we're wrestling, much like my father did with me. And I'll never forget, there was one day I was on the floor, and of course I always play it up so that I'm hurt, and Scott, my oldest one, is on top of me. And I'm screaming, oh, that hurts, that hurts. And Ethan starts yelling at Scott, grabbing him by the back of the shirt. Get off, Daddy, get off, Daddy. I'm thinking, wow, this is great. My son loves me. He pulls Scott off and says, it's my turn. Definitely have 2 boys. It's interesting with the 2 kids, and as I say, in a city of excess that Calgary is. There was one day I remember walking my kids to school, and I took the time out to actually physically walk them to school. And I come out of the school after I dropped them off, and sitting out front was a BMW. Beautiful BMW. It was nice. And I looked at that BMW and thought, man, if I had a car like that, I bet my kids would think I was a lot cooler. Where does this come from? This worldly, it's amazing how the world comes in, and the world will tell us things like you need more money, you need a better title at work. But really what makes my kids happy was that I was with them, that I was spending time, that I'll get on the floor and wrestle around with them. Those are the things that they're going to remember. So, as I'm thinking about my struggle, you see, I'm not at all like my dad, I'm all over the place. As I'm thinking about my struggle to come up with this sermon, I got thinking, you know what, there's a lot of people that face a lot of things. And maybe we've been thinking, well, God won't give me more than I can handle. There are a lot more scriptures that prove that God won't leave us alone. And I